Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's Brendan if you guys today. Welcome to my channel. Do all things algorithm lights. So we get ready for another reaction video for you guys today. There's been a lot of reaction videos lately. I'm seeing whenever, basically when it comes to like me doing reaction videos, is if I see something that looks like it's reaction worthy, that's when I'll do a reaction video to it. It's not necessarily like me being lazy or like, you know, because people do view reaction videos as lazy from my content creation. I just see something, I see a topic, and then I'm like, all right, let's talk about that. I'd rather do a video covering it then make a long comment on someone's video. But today's video got a video from Slilu. I'm probably pronounce that wrong. Maybe a Slew or Slaw. It's like 2 L's. Why did DICE kill Battlefield's best game mode, Rush? I was actually a massive Rush player from like Bad Company 2 and Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4. All I played was Rush. That was my primary game mode. I loved Rush. I preferred over Conquest. I have friends who prefer Conquest. Sometimes I will play Conquest, but generally I was always playing Rush. A lot of my old gameplay, I don't think I have any of my old Battlefield gameplay on this channel, but like a lot of the old content that was created on Battlefield, a lot of my time, like all my hours are in Rush. Let's check out this video. As always, links to the original video being in the box below. Also my Twitch stream and some other links to my other channels. Go watch the original video for the original content creator. Leave them a like and things like that. Let's get into our reaction video today.
Battlefield. So I've been playing Battlefield since 2010, I believe. I was in a video store called Hastings, and I saw a cover for Battlefield Bad Company 2, and it just looked really cool. I'd heard about it, but I hadn't really seen any gameplay for it, and back then, the covers for games is really what sold me on the game. So I picked it up, took it home, and put it in my white Xbox 360 and loaded it up, and I just remember being absolutely blown away by the graphics. And this was Bad Company 2, which by today's standards, the graphics pass stylistically, but it wouldn't be a great game as far as graphics are concerned. But back then, it was absolutely insane. But that's not the point of this video. Now when you think of Battlefield, you probably think of like huge, gigantic battles and conquest and shooting helicopters out of the sky with RPGs, being able to go across a pretty large map multiple times in one game. But back then, there was a different popular game mode. Now, Battlefield has always been known for conquest. It was its first big game mode that got popular. It's what Battlefield really, it's Battlefield's bread and butter. But I think there's a better game mode, and Bad Company 2 perfected this game mode. Now, if you have been playing Battlefield as long as I have, you probably know exactly what game I'm talking about. You can probably tell from the gameplay I have on the screen. But if you don't, back during Bad Company 2, in my opinion, the best game mode, and it might have actually been the most popular game mode, was Rush. Now, if you don't know,
tell you right now, playing Rush and Bad Company 2, you had to like have a pretty solid team, because Battlefield Bad Company 2 had like just insane destruction to a point where you can literally destroy the entire building the objectives are in, to where like it got to a point where what people would do on attack, they'll get into a tank, they'll get up to the sites with the tank, blow up the building, to where like all you see is the objective itself. You know, get that plane off and just watch with the tank. And if the defenders happen to get rid of your tanks or whatever vehicle you happen to bring, it'll be like just a suicide mission if you were gonna try to like to defuse. You can do it if you were a good enough team or good enough players, but it was like it made it so hard. I just loved it. I feel like my biggest complaint about 2042 right now is nothing but just how little destruction there is. Like the identity of destruction in Battlefield has just basically died.
What Rush is, basically there's an attacking and defending team. You have 2 bombs you have to plant on or defend. It's kind of like a bigger version of, let's say, like Search and Destroy, except when you die, you can revive, and you just keep coming back to defend or to attack the 2 bombs. I think that this game mode is so good because, one, you've pushed through the map, and that's really cool. You get a really cool sense of progression in the game. But 2, there aren't as many players as in other Battlefield game modes. And I know people play Battlefield for the chaos, and that's fine, but honestly, I feel like with Rush, you get more quality in your gameplay rather than quantity of insane things happening. Now, I do also like to play Conquest, not so much in 2042, but ever since Bad Company 2, Rush has almost been kind of put to the side. Other than Battlefield 3, which had a decent Rush game mode, Bad Company 2 was basically the peak of Rush because they designed maps for Rush and they designed maps for Conquest, and that made Rush so good. All the Rush maps, if you played 2042, and you played Erica Harbor, that map is designed for Rush, and you can tell by its design because it's so linear, and pushing to the map on Rush is just so natural. It's just such a good map. If I could play Erica Harbor all the time, I would. But after Bad Company,
he mentioned Battlefield 3. To me, the best Rush map, Battlefield 3, and it's just me being biased because I love this map in general, no matter what objective you play on it. Grand Bazaar for Rush is just so lovely. I have so many hours on Grand Bazaar Rush. Just so many hours.
Battlefield basically took Rush and kind of put it to the side for bigger game modes with bigger set pieces for their trailers to sell the game. And I think that they probably sold a lot more copies of Battlefield 1, for example, than Bad Company 2. Battlefield 1's a great game, but Rush in that game was absolutely horrible. In fact, the last half decent playable Rush, in my opinion, that was any fun was Battlefield 4. And in that game, it was still pretty bad. The map design was really bad for Rush. Where they decided to put the bombs was not optimal, I think. And really the best game mode was Conquest in that game. Again, I think DICE favored those big set piece kind of maps and set piece only in Battlefield situations that you'd get, rather than actually putting a little bit more focus into Rush. After about a decade
I always
plus
hated this map.
of Rush not being that great, I think DICE has
I'm never a
actually
big fan of,
kind
like,
brought it back in Battlefield 20.
Let me pause because I don't want to talk over him and you guys have a hard time here. I'm never a big fan of any like shooters. I'm never a big fan of like rooftop maps. Like this is like flood zone, so like what will happen at a certain point in the game, like down below like this line right here would flood. So like basically the entirety of like below this would just be water at a later point in the game, which is what Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4 was like really, they tried to like add in. That's where like the environmental stuff became like really big thing. Like Sea to Shanghai, the skyscraper freaking falls down and they get this big ass freaking blow it up, destroy skyscraper that you can fight in. It's a flood zone. You had like an actual flood that was like a pretty substantial flood. Don't be in here. It's where it basically just becomes nothing but rooftop like fighting. And it's not like a bad map, but yeah, I generally just don't like rooftop maps.
I haven't played that much Battlefield 2042 since it came out almost 2 years ago now. I have like 24 hours in it, but I've recently hopped back into it, and Rush has been a lot of fun. I think that they've actually done a really good job with Rush. The maps I think are designed pretty well, and they put some Bad Company 2
His name's Harriet Tubman.
3 maps
Thugman,
in
I mean.
rotation, and it feels so good. It is just so much fun to go back and play those maps on Rush, and it's something that the past few Battlefields haven't had. There's one thing I've noticed about Rush in 2023 and in Battlefield 2042. The players, I've had multiple people say, oh, I thought I was playing Team Deathmatch. A lot of the new players think they're queuing up from Team Deathmatch because it's under like it's under a similar category in Battlefield 2042's UI, which is kind of weird. They think they're playing Team Deathmatch, they load into Rush, and they have no idea what's going on, which is just kind of annoying. They're usually pretty new to the game, so they're just trying to get a feel of what the game is in Team Deathmatch, which I understand. But a lot of the players have no idea what's going on. They'll sit next to the bomb when it's about to blow up and not defuse it. I don't know if they don't have headphones on or they're listening through their crappy TV in the living room while their mom's cooking dinner. I don't know. And you know, that's not always true. You get good players, you get bad players. That's just part of playing a video game. I have no issue with that. But I've noticed it's particularly prevalent in Battlefield 2042, and I think that has something to do with all the new PlayStation players that are coming in due to it being free on PlayStation, and just Rush being absolutely demolished by DICE for a decade, and they're now just bringing it back in a semi-good state. I think it's in a perfectly playable state. It's definitely not peak Rush, but it's pretty good. It's probably my favorite game mode. I'm not a huge fan of 128 player game modes. I think a lot of people would agree. I think Rush has a perfect amount of players where you get a lot of player versus player interaction. Obviously, that's the whole point of Battlefield. But the quality of engagement I think is better. Like you can get flanks easier because there's not so many players. You get into a lot of like 1v1 situations, which I like a lot. You're not just constantly outnumbered by the other team.
First at Sundance, he survived though.
Better in Battlefield than a lot of people think. And a lot of people want that chaos, like I said earlier, but it's just, honestly, I think Battlefield's better when it focuses on quality over quantity and big set pieces just to sell their game. Other than the players having no godly idea what's going on in Rush, not planting the bomb or smoking or defusing the bomb when it's blowing up right next to them, I think this is probably the best state Rush has been in since Bad Company 2, and it's in the worst Battlefield game that has released probably ever. And I think Rush should be a
I won't
focus
say
for
ever.
them
5
in other
exists.
Battlefield games. I think they should put a lot more focus into it, because I think the sense of progression, the smaller settings, less players, actually works so well with the Battlefield formula. What do you guys think about Rush in 2042? Do you even play it? Is it just a side note? Do you just look at it and just don't press on it and play other game modes? I think Rush is a hidden gem. It was probably the most popular game mode in Bad Company 2, which is crazy to me. I never played Conquest. I just hard grinded Rush. That's all I played, and I remember just having the most fun ever.
Same.
Battlefield, bring back Rush to its prime, or I'll write a strong letter. Bye.
Honestly, if you think about it, maybe that could be what saves Battlefield. You know, making Rush great again could be what saves Battlefield. Like, the next Battlefield game should just go heavy on freaking Rush. I mean, obviously you have a good balance between Conquest and Rush. Like Battlefield 3, Battlefield 4, and Bad Company 2 had a good balance between Conquest and Rush. Like, again, me and Bad Company 2, I think I probably played Conquest like once or twice when I didn't have any friends who played Battlefield. Like, I have friends, but I have friends that did Battlefield. Then I made friends who played Battlefield, and they all exclusively play freaking Rush, and that's what all I did was play Rush. Then when Battlefield 3 came out, that's all I played was freaking Rush in there as well. Other than like sometimes we play Conquest. Usually we play Conquest if we're doing like game battles. You know, if you're old enough, you know what game battles were. So like we would do that. I love Rush and Bad Company 3, not Bad Company, Battlefield 3 and Bad Company 2. I loved it in Battlefield 4. Again, barely played Conquest Battlefield 4. Like, I haven't even touched Rush in 2042 because I generally just don't want to like play against the same people over again, because I kind of just assume that Rush has a low player count compared to Conquest, because the game itself already has like a lower player count than you will want for a third-person shooter that's a AAA title. So like you're having like a fraction of everyone, because Conquest is the one everyone's gonna be playing right now. You're gonna have a fraction of that player base for Rush, and I just kind of like didn't think to play Rush in 2042 because it's like, who's all playing it? There can't be that many players playing it. I don't want to. I'm a content creator. I don't want to like sit in a queue for a long period of time trying to get into one game mode. But yeah, I love Rush. Hopefully the next game, you know, makes Rush great again. Make the maps that are good to like be catered around Rush. Because again, Bad Company 2, Battlefield 3, Battlefield 4 all had maps that were good for both. They were good for Conquest. They were good for from Rush. And DICE took their time when it came to their map creation. Whereas like 2042, I don't think they took their time with map design. I think they just made some maps and like, all right, that's good enough. Anyways, that's it for this reaction video. As always, show him some love, give him a like, watch the video, all that good stuff. Another, you know, it's better, but you know, if you watch my previous reaction video when it comes to like the ratios and helping us smaller content creators, you know, he's 186, helping us small content creators grow. You know, show everyone who's out here trying to get into YouTube and trying to grow, and you know, if you think we're making good content, you know, help us grow. This is the best way to help us grow is the like button. So go to his video. The first video will be in the box below. Give it a like my video. You know, subscribe to my channel, subscribe to his channel. You know, follow me on Twitch and my box below as well. But yeah, happy boy in the whistle. Hope you all have a good rest of your day. Y'all stay safe. You guys one another. Happy gaming and all that good stuff. And I catch you. I'm out of here. Deuces.